We are going to reconvene our meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you everyone for coming. It's nice to see everybody here. We did meet in closed session. We will be going back into closed session, but we do have one piece, item number 1, that we did take action on. So pursuant to Education Code Section 44954, the board unanimously took action to release certificated employee ID numbers 651119, 667602, 669290, 499677, 521733, 609488, 144164, 661593, 667145, 640997, 622818, 668018, 642502, 666754, 661886 at the end of this 2024-2025 school year, and to direct the employees timely be issued notice of the board's decision to affirm the completion of their contracts for the 2024-2025 school year. All right. With that, we are going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the students from Tierra del Sol.
Good afternoon. I want to introduce two of our students. We have Alexis Torres and Ariana Ramirez, and they're going to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance today.
I pledge allegiance.
Oh, yeah, you're about to stand.
Right hand over your heart.
Okay, ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before they leave, I just want to say how amazing they are. They're two of our students. They have been reclassified this year. They have been working super hard to get that reclassification. And so we wanted to spotlight them for their amazing work, not only in their EL class, but all day. They are definitely change agents at our school. So we wanted to highlight them and tell them that we appreciate them very much.
Congratulations. We will now have Dr. Hartman share highlights of the school.
Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Hartman. This is our amazing Vice Principal, Ms. Macias, and we are going to talk about TDS. So our shared vision is TDS is a respectful place that holds all stakeholders accountable in order to create a clear, safe, productive learning environment that provides opportunities for real teaching and learning, as well as opportunities that build trust and connections throughout campus. And we wanted to start with this because that is basically everything that we try to be and strive to be. We just had a survey 2 weeks ago at our staff meeting to see if we wanted to continue this vision. This has been our vision for the last 2 years, and the feedback from that is that while we want to keep the same vision, we also want to make sure that we drive our mission statement around how we're going to make all of those things happen. Our teachers also said that they wanted to add something in there that showcased our immersion program and the multilingual opportunities that we give to our students. And so we will be revamping that and working on that from now up until our goal setting day. So our first goal that we've been working on is our academic goal, meaningful assessments that drive meaningful instruction. This year, instead of creating a goal that had us improving a certain percentage point on CAS, we decided to look at what we're doing in the classroom. And so our goal is we will increase the use of inclusive teaching practices in our classrooms by 50%. We felt like that was more measurable throughout the year. Those are things that we can change throughout the year versus waiting for our particular test scores to see if we met our goals. So we have been doing a lot of professional development in our staff meetings. We have been learning from each other some of the inclusive practices that our subject level and our grade level teams have worked together to decide what they're going to be working on. And then we have been monitoring that by going into classrooms, working with our teachers, them being able to share with other teachers what they've been doing. Some of the inclusive practices that we've been working on is rebuilding UDL. I know in 8th grade, a lot of the cross-curricular work they do is through UDL, and so we wanted to make sure that that was in 6th and 7th grade classes, and also making sure that we're building relationships, note-taking, and other practices that we've been working on. So our lead measures to make sure that we get to those goals is at least once per trimester, students will engage in argument and constructing explanations and supporting them with sufficient evidence and reasoning. That is work that we've been doing not only with math transformations, but also the English work that we started years ago. We've been keeping up that, making sure that we're teaching our particular standards, but that English, math, and science are all working together to make sure that we have a common vocabulary on what argument looks like, what evidence and reasoning looks like, and how are we giving students feedback to make sure that they're progressing in that. Lead measure 2 is our targeted feedback and making sure that we give specific rubrics on how to write arguments, not only in English, but also in math as well. And then teachers will utilize the PLC process to review that student data and work together to make sure that our students have what we need. We've also included science because with the Open Science curriculum, there's a lot of inquiry-based instruction, and so we have our students taking notes and keeping a student notebook in science. And so we're making sure that they are doing the same thing in math, that's what we're working on, and then making sure that English, we're using the same vocabulary in all 3 subject areas. So here is our CAS results for last year. We have a lot of work to do, and that was one of the reasons why we decided to create goals that we could measure throughout the year and really be able to see if they're working. Our fall to winter update for MAPS. We did see some growth. We didn't see the type of growth that we wanted, but we did see growth in 6th and 8th grade. This is for reading for all students. And then our readings with students with disabilities. We saw more growth, especially in 8th grade. This is very important to us because we have been working with our students with disability, rechanging our whole special education format at TDS. We are going to go full co-teaching next year, and so we've created 3 models where it's co-teaching, teaching with a specific aid in the classrooms, and then basically no support in the class for students. And so we're working really hard to make sure that students are placed where they can get the most help, and they will be able to learn in an environment that will really give them the help that they need. We have our EL students. We've seen some growth there. We're really proud of our EL students, but we're also proud of the work that Ms. Macias and Ms. Perkins has been doing to make sure that all of our EL students and all of our SPED students, all of our students are getting the type of accommodations that they need in all of their classrooms. Here's math. We saw considerable growth in math. Each grade level. We've been working a lot, once again, on argument and construction of reason and evidence in math, and then being able to take all the skills that they're learning in English and be able to relate that in their math class. Our students with disabilities also saw a lot of growth in math. We had a 2% growth in 7th grade, which is awesome. And our EL students, we saw a 3% growth in 7th grade for math.
Alright, so just like Dr. Hardiman mentioned, we had this year the opportunity to work closely with San Diego County Office of Education alongside with the support of Ed Services Department to specifically work on how we can support our EL students at TDS. And we want to make sure that we help them grow and can also meet those gaps and continue to grow throughout their time here at TDS. And so with the work that we're doing together, we've been able to really envision what it is and how it is that we're going to support our students. And for us, we decided that for our multilingual learners, we aim to foster connection, belonging, and resilience, resulting in a positive academic identity and strong belief in their own potential. And so what does that look like? It's a lot of words. What does that look like for us at TDS? Some of the things, some of the actions that we've already established this first part of the school year was community listening sessions, so inviting parents in with Dr. Hardiman and myself to be able to hear feedback. What is it that we can do? How can we best support? And how can we show more evidence of our students that are on our campus and improve their day-to-day experience. We also were able to do student empathy interviews and ask directly to the students as well. What is it that we do to best support you? And what else can we do to improve your experience at TDS? And in addition to that, we also, which also ties into our goal, was providing professional development to our staff. And so we've been able already to do one full staff meeting dedicated specifically of providing strategies for our teachers, also providing data and getting to know the students. And so we were able to, for example, show our teachers who are our English language learners. There are less than 100 students at TDS that are English language learners, but we wanted to make sure, which honestly I believe it's great that we have with a small population, we're able to create that individualized experience for our students that maybe at bigger schools they don't necessarily get to have. And so we were able to show that information to our teachers, and the feedback that we got, because we did do a survey afterwards, they were just very happy that they were able to get to know more information because they felt that, okay, now I know how I can best support our students. And so this is a list of our reclassified students so far. We're really proud of them. You saw, for example, Ariana today, and then also Alexis, who also will be added to the list. And then some of the things that we've also been doing in creating those connections that we talked about. For example, Ms. Herrera, who is our EL teacher at TDS, had the students, this was actually a really amazing assignment. She had all of her students email me and say what is something that they like about their country of origin and something that they like about their experience. And it was so wonderful to just be able to read their emails that I ended up responding to all of them. And Ms. Herrera shared with me that they were all really happy that they got that person that, like, oh, someone like listened, and that's something that they truly value, being heard and feeling seen at our school. And this is also a sample of the teaching strategies that we were able to provide to our teachers at our PD, and we were able to put it all together for them so that they can easily access them and feel better prepared to support our students. And so we're going to jump right into goal 2, which is persevere relentlessly and caring deeply. Our goal is that by June 2025, we will reduce the number of behavior infractions by 30% compared to the 23-24 school year through the school-wide implementation of PBIS. Progress will be monitored through Infinite Campus, Jupiter Grades, with regular reviews and adjustments made to ensure the effectiveness of the program. And we've been working really, really hard. Lead measure 1 is that we will reconstruct our PBIS system to create a school-wide system all students and adults can follow and understand. We definitely dove deep. We worked at the end of the school year, at the beginning of the school year, to make sure that we were able to present a reconstructed PBIS system that we are all following, and I'll talk about in just a moment. Lead measure 2 is once a month, student will take part in a specific counseling lesson that will focus on specific issues regarding emotional and academic support, organization, and other issues. And then lead measure 3, during PLC, making sure that our teachers are able to come to the table with at least two strategies to be able to problem solve classroom behaviors and procedures. There's definitely been a lot of conversations. For us, PBIS reconstruction, we decided that at TDS, we are the Sun Devils, so we should glow at TDS. So what does GLOW stand for? G is we give respect. L is we lead by example. We want our students at TDS, we really wholeheartedly believe this. Lakeside, we are a community, we are out, and we want our students to be able to be representing TDS in a way that is representative of our student population. And also, O is for own your actions, and W is for work together. And so we are always highlighting students that are glowing in different areas. We provide matrix for all of our teachers and our students of what does it look like to glow in the classroom, in the hallways, with use of technology, in passing periods, and the lunch areas. And so, for example, if we ever need to address any type of issue, we always refer back to our glow matrix, and we ask, did I listen to others when speaking? And so we always refer back to that because in addition to the developmental stage that they are at, it's also an opportunity to learn from each action that they have. And so crew, we have lots of fun with crew. Crew is I would say, our ship that helps us do a lot of this big work that we have. We are able to do challenges that bring our school community together. It gives us the opportunity to recognize students that have glowed and have been able to go to different field trips for having excellent attendance, grades, and citizenship. And so here you can see a sample of how we utilize crew to make sure that we're embedding all the different fundamental pieces of our goals. We have opportunities for students to be able to create community building by doing different challenges. We also are able to have our counselor's corner for some social emotional lessons. It can be anything from organization, study skills, how to problem solve, all these different things that are helpful for our students. And then just different opportunities within their own classrooms as well to build that community feel. These are some samples of our school counseling lessons that are provided, like I mentioned, conflict resolution, motivation, just different things about delegating and checklists. We also offer after school sports. We really truly believe it's important to just, for full student development, it's building those opportunities to connect with our school and for them to feel successful in many different ways. And there's many different ways to shine at TDS.
So one other thing that we've implemented also is our Minute in History videos. We found that was important because we want to make sure, one of the issues that we're having at TDS is we have such a vast array of students. We need to make sure that we're building opportunities for them to be able to see each other, talk to each other, learn more about each other's cultures, and just be able to promote that inclusivity and respect on campus. And so we've been doing Minute in History videos. We started last month and we will continue throughout the year and hopefully next month as well. And we've been able to share those videos with our elementary schools as well. Our goal 3 is our cross-curricular projects. We have been working really hard, not only on the cross-curricular projects, but also the pathways and innovation. We have our lead measures. We want to make sure that every single cross-curricular project is in each grade level and they participate. We want to make sure that students are reflecting on those cross-curricular projects and teachers are as well. And most important that we've been working on is by the end of May 2025, TDS will have an established pathway elective. So Mr. Nguyen, who is one of our teachers, math teacher, as well as robotics, femineers, and all things robots on campus, has been working really hard. This is his VEX team. We won a creative award. We did a clothing drive in robotics. But what we want to talk about, what Mr. Nguyen has been working on, is making sure that we have a pathway that is more of career readiness for students. So we've been working on this for a while. We talked about the labor market index and what are the essential skills that students are going to need once they graduate high school, and how can we do as much as possible when they're in middle school to be able to see that long-term goal. And so Mr. Nguyen has been working with SDCOE. He was able to start career readiness. He just opened up a program, a submarine industrial class after school. We got it 100% funded by SDCOE, and we had students be able to take that class. And then next year, we're super excited to pair up with Paxton and Patterson, and we are going to do our college and career ready labs. And so we got a grant from Rise Church a couple of years ago, and we were going to do a STEAM lab, but we decided to spend that on the career labs. And so Mr. Nguyen is going to teach an elective, and we're hoping to get all 6th graders through. And we're gonna start off with 4, but 3 of those we're gonna have a cosmetology and barbering, because that is what our students voted on the most. Home maintenance systems, so learning HVAC, learning plumbing, and then a specific plumbing class. So we're hoping to have more of these college and career labs as the year progresses, but we're gonna start with those 3, and our students are super excited and we're super excited. So we're gonna go to a Paxton and Patterson school on Wednesday, just to observe and see what the classes look like. There's a culinary arts class that our students are super excited about, but we want to make sure that we have everything we need to be able to offer it. So we're going to go and see how those labs go. So this is going to replace a couple of our Project Lead the Way classes, but we truly believe we're going to get a lot of buy-in with those career labs. We also, I'm just going to play it. We also have our elective video that Ron and Karen Cook.
Welcome to Tierra del Sol Middle School, where we learn, build, create, perform, and explore. At TDS, we build a strong foundation in math, science, language arts, and social studies to prepare us for high school and beyond. But that's just the beginning. We have so many electives here that whatever your interests, there's a class for that. Maybe you like solving problems and building things? Robotics and Project Lead the Way give you hands-on challenges.
There's a class for that.
If it's the rhythm and music that really moves you, there's band, percussion, and guitar classes. If that music and rhythm moves you to dance, oh yeah, there's definitely a class for that. If being part of a stage production has been your dream, whether it's performing for an audience or working behind the scenes,
there's a class for that.
if expressing yourself through visual arts and photography is your focus, there's a class for that. Our KTDS News team might be a good fit if writing, filming, and editing video stories is your thing. Want to gain a better understanding of our planet and how to protect it?
There's a class for that.
Or if getting to know the people around the world through our Spanish and Mandarin studies is your passion.
我们有中文课。
At TDS, we think critically, learn continuously, collaborate constructively, communicate effectively, and persevere relentlessly, because we care deeply about ourselves, each other, and our community. Whatever you love, there's a place for you here. Find your passion, try something new, be part of something amazing. This is Tierra del Sol Middle School, where we're building the skills, confidence, and resilience we'll need to be ready for high school, ready for the future, and ready to make a difference wherever life takes us. At Tierra del Sol Middle School, there's a class for that.
So that will go out, and every time I see it, I told them like, oh, you make me cry. Because we are all, I think every school right now is going through behaviors and struggling. But when I look at things like that and look at all of the goals that we've set and how far we've gone in those goals, it makes us proud. And so even though we're struggling, we know that there are a lot of things that we have in our school that are amazing and are working us through the things that we're struggling with. I think in education, everybody's struggling right now. But it's amazing to have the foundation that we have because we know that that'll get us through our homes. So last thing, attendance goal, by 2025, we'll reduce overall chronic absentee rate by 20% and 25% for EL and SPED. We've been working really hard with that, and I wanted to just say thank you to Dr. Taylor and Ms. Fernandez, Dr. Fernandez, because we were able to be spotlighted on our A to A podcast, and we were able to talk about our mid-year attendance, and we were showcased, Lakeside and TDS were showcased because of the amazing work that we've done with decreasing our chronic rate of attendance and increasing the attendance that we have in our district. And so this is our chronic rates of attendance, so we've been able to go down. And even though there's another slide that didn't go on here, but we were able to go from, I believe, we were able to increase, I think, 8% for our outstanding attendance. And so that means for our students who already have really good attendance, we were able to double that. And that is because of offering Saturday school, offering STEP, all of the programs that we have. Students are coming to academic recovery, attendance recovery, so they can make that up. And then this is what we talked about as far as supporting implementation. We talked about what we're doing across the district and across the school, making sure that we have a hands-on approach, making sure that we have attendance teams that are made up of students so that we can look at our highest days for absences and they can come up with ways to get students to come to school on those days. And in our partnerships, we will hold at least 6 opportunities. We've already been able to hold 6 opportunities and we have 2 more. So we've already met this goal as far as partnership and parent education, but this is a goal that continues and we never stop until we get 100% of parents on campus. And so we have 3 more upcoming events and we'll be able to send this out. We have our Trimester 2 Awards the last week of March. We are going to have a Passport to Play family game night April 3rd, and so that is going to be showcasing different games from around the world and just having parents come and just have fun. And so we're hoping to get a lot of students to come out. We're gonna have food trucks and just an opportunity to just play games. And then we'll have our open house May 7th. So thank you guys very much and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. No questions, just a comment. I want to thank you for talking about the career readiness class. As many people know, I really care about that issue, so thank you for doing that. And then secondarily, congratulations on your award on Monday night. So I'm sorry I couldn't be there to celebrate you, but thank you for all the work that you do for our district, so congratulations.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, with that, we are going to move on, and Board of Trustees will now conduct a public hearing pursuant to Education Code 47605 to consider the renewal petition of Verona Charter School for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030. Our first item is to acknowledge requested of Verona Indian Charter Schools Board of Directors Resolution number 24-10-1 to accept the name change of the charter to Verona Charter School. And then with that, we are going to move on to public comment on the related renewal of the charter school. Do we have any comment? No comment. All right, well then moving right along, we are going to request adoption of the Verona Charter School petition renewal and resolution number 2025-12 for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030. Lisa, is there anything you wanted to add to anything that was in our packet?
Just, they've done a great, job, and I'm happy to recommend the renewal and another 5 years. Enjoyed working with Julie and the whole team up at Verona. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, with that, do we have a motion to?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Can I just make a comment about that?
Absolutely.
I am so grateful for all the work that you guys do in Verona for our district. It's a little gem of our community, and I'm just so grateful for everything you do. So keep up the great work, and I'm proud to make that motion and move that approval tonight. So thank you for all you do. Keep it up. So, thank
I also had the pleasure to visit 272 regularly at Verona Charter School, and I do miss it, and it is an incredible place. Friendly staff, small classes, kids are out of this world with just camaraderie. You know, you walk in, we saw before, I walk through there, just a gym. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move on to Assistant Superintendent Lisa Davis, who will present the 2024-2025 second interim financial report.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you don't like math?
You don't want to hear about the budget? What?
Thank you.
Good night. Have a good evening.
our next snapshot of what our budget looks like this year, and then also multi-year projections for the 2 years out. Let's see, so we'll look at first we'll look at just California's outlook, and then the education budget update, and then our actual second interim, and then next steps. So there's some risk to next year's state budget. Just what I'm not super concerned. There's a lot of, and I'm sure Andrew hears more than probably even I do. Right now, the legislature and the governor are, hashing out and trying to figure out where the monies are actually going to go. He gave his budget proposal, and this was, Samantha and I went to the governor's budget proposal in January. I think we still hadn't hit some of the major weather and some other, extreme weather deals. So that's hitting California, which will impact some funding, some resources, whatnot, into next year, probably future years out. One concern is just the delayed tax deadline due to those natural disasters. LA County is extended until October 15th of 2025. We've already experienced an extension, and I'll go ahead and say it, the Department of Finance overshot those projections quite a bit. So made a little bit of a big bit of a wrinkle in this year's budget. And I hadn't even realized this, LA County accounts for more than 20% of the personal income tax, which we're funded, the state, just to remind you, is the big three: personal income tax, corporate, and sales tax. That's what moves and shakes the state. So that's pretty big. Stock market, volatility, just watching that. As always, our state heavily relies on those markets. Federal policy uncertainty, there's a lot coming out daily. And interest rates, and then a weak labor market that's been over the past couple of years in our state. Not so much, interestingly, not so much in the nation, but our state has it hasn't recovered as quick as the rest of the nation has in the labor market. So, I got this slide from school services, I think it was, or the legislative analyst's office. But I thought it was kind of interesting that the school age enrollment projections for the state as a whole, I just wanted to highlight this, that the projections are, we're continuing to, the state as a whole, to decline enrollment. So, it's just something to be aware of. It dramatically decreases by 2033, 34. But on a good note, the LEO's office did show what the recovery from the ADA, the average daily attendance for most school districts across the state since COVID, and the rebound from that, and it's been very slow in recovery. Your optimal is about a 97.5% attendance ADA ratio. We're actually recovering better than the state, so we're on the right path. We're not completely where we would like to be, but we're making progress to get to that 97%, and I feel super positive. Dr. Hardiman was just highlighting, their attendance ratios and stuff, and the great stuff that they're doing. All staff in all school sites are very aware. Dr. Fernandez is working very closely with just attendance recovery, how to keep kids engaged and get them in school and keep them engaged in school so that their attendance will help the district. So you can see this year at P1, our attendance ratio was 95.15%. So I think that's fabulous. moving in the right direction. And I think I've shared before, for a 1% growth in your ADA, it's about $500,000 to $600,000 increase in our LCFF funding. So it's a big deal. It you know, can really help a district just being mindful of the ADA growth. So that's what funds us. We are in test 1 for, and this is jumping into Prop 98, our LCFF funding. So we're in test 1 this year. We'll be in test 1 projected for next year. That's a good thing. We want to stay in test 1. If we start moving into a test 2 or test 3 year, then things can get precarious with our funding. So right now you can see with test 1, we get about 40% of the state's share of revenues. So school districts or get the pretty much the lion's share of the pie for the state of California, which is good. Ongoing proposals, the governor proposed a 2.43% cost of living adjustment, or COLA. Transitional kindergarten, I think that's being talked about a lot in the state. The add-on for TK right now is projected to be $3,150. He's proposing to increase it up to $6,400. Now, part of that reasoning is because the 24-to-1 or 12-to-1 ratio for TK, or not 12-to-1, 12-to-1 for 24-to-2 TK ratio this year. He promised that he would fully fund TK, and with that promise was then he would guarantee that the ratio would go from 10-to-1 or 20-to-2. So I think he's very motivated to fully fund and then some TK to make sure that he gets to that 10/20 attendance ratio. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think there's, again, like I said, I think there's a lot of talks going on right now with that. That was kind of a dramatic increase to the TK funding. The good news, side note, is the TKers on our interest list, and they are coming out of the woodworks. So that will greatly help our enrollment. Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, the ELOP program, this is your before, after, and during spring break and summer break program. They've reduced the UPP threshold for a higher rate, so it had been from 75%, now it's dropped to 55. Unfortunately, we don't need that 55 yet. But if we did, the ELOP is funded at a higher rate for those districts. We stayed flat at the lower rate. And then just some side notes, 25-26, you know, here we go with the reporting requirements, and so we have to annually declare our intent to run a program. If you don't get that into the CDE, they will take the money back. So you have to make sure that you've got that on your calendar, and then you've got a 2-year expenditure deadline. So when it's the year that it's funded, you get your apportionment, you have 2 years to spend that. If you don't, that money goes back to the state. But it's a rolling, we'll get the monies every year, but it's a 2-year rollout. One-time proposals, there's $1.8 billion for one-time discretionary grant. The official name is Student Support and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. Right now it looks like it's equating to about $310 per student based on the 24-25 P2 AEA. There's a lot of unknowns about this right now. So it's kind of a wait and see. The recommendation from school services is that don't put it in your adopted budget, because we won't even know in May and then June, when we have to adopt our budget, what the final outcome of this is going to be. So just keep it out until we know for sure. And but the governor's office has said that it's to address any kind of, you know, cost escalations, rising costs of districts, your STRS, PERS, self-insurance, utilities, and then some staffing, but they still haven't, it's supposed to be discretionary, but, so we don't know what is at this point in time. And then, this one kills me. $379 million for Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, the LREBG, which funded our learning recovery, or learning resource teachers. So, the monies were gonna be on the end of this year. We will have fully expended what we had received. The governor decided, because remember we were cut, that a few years ago. Well, now he decided to fully fund and give districts back that. Now here's a caveat to that. Starting this year, because of the $3 billion settlement lawsuit that the state settled with a parent suing over learning recovery and loss of learning, he rolled it into these monies. And then from July 1st of 2025, now you have to include it in your LCAP, you have to do an assessment, you have, like, there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, which is why we decided to spend those dollars this year, which we were close anyways, but it was just, let's just make sure and be targeted about it so that we're not having to jump through all these hoops. And now, if these monies do come to fruition, we're still gonna have to jump through those hoops, and it's not gonna mean a whole lot of money for us with what they had cut. I don't even know if he's gonna fully fund what was cut. I think what was cut for us was $5,000 or $600,000. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. So, so we'll see what happens. A lot's still up in the air. I'd like to share with you the governor's planning factors. So here's the COLA, and then 3 years out, how the base grant is funded, what the calculations are, and then other planning factors, the lottery mandate block grant, CalSTRS, CalPERS, employer rates, unemployment, and then minimum wage increasing over the years. So, just a side note on CalSTRS, the board, so it's been at 19.1, so it's stayed flat for the last few years. You know, it capped out, but the board can increase that rate now, and they have the ability to increase it to 20.25%. They're supposed to officially adopt it, hopefully by this spring. So we'll see if they decide to move off of the 19.1 and adopt the 20.25, and then CalPERS rate continues to grow. They don't have to go back. They can adjust that every year. So our second interim budget, you can see the funding factors that we've used this year. Nothing really has changed for 24-25. Our planning factors, again, nothing's changed. Basically nothing's changed on for second interim. We didn't have a whole lot of adjustments between first interim and second interim. Some minor adjustments and stuff, but all of the planning factors stayed the same. Let's see. Staffing. So here's our general fund overview, combined general fund, unrestricted, restricted. Remember, we have to take all of our expenditures combined, but we can only use the ending fund balance of our unrestricted fund to calculate the reserve. State required 3%, so we're hitting 3.42%. Again, remember, these are budgeted expenditures. So we historically have anywhere between $8 to $1 million that falls out at the end of the year with just what we have to budget, especially with federal programs, things that we were thinking that we were going to spend this year that we're not. It'll probably be shifted over into the following year because either we have an invoice or whatever. So pie chart, our general fund revenues, we're anticipating approximately $71 million, and you can see how that's all carved out. We did in property taxes about 14.5, and then the state backfills the rest of that for people funding. Our federal dollars, I just wanted to point out, I know there's a lot of talk around federal. The federal dollars would hurt if anything happened, but it's not the majority of our budget. It's about $3 million or 4.23 that we receive. So, and then general fund expenditures, we're anticipating on spending $82 million. The bulk of that, 65.7 million is salary and benefits. And then our books and supplies, services and operating, and then capital outlay. Some of that capital outlay this year is because we purchased we've been invoiced this year and paid for the buses. So, in the restricted fund, you'll see that it's being spent down. That's why. And then just looking at the actuals from last year, what we adopted back in June, now here at second interim, and then projected for 25-26. What what we're thinking it's going to look like. I anticipate our reserve moving from the 3.42 to probably increase. Like I said, our reserve adjusts off of how much we spend. So it could go up if we spend a lot, or it could go down if we don't spend a lot. So, again, some of those budgeted expenditures will fall out, and so they should increase and be closer to a 5%, 4.5%, 5% reserve. So our next steps, we're here at second interim, and then we're going to loop right back around to, in June, we'll have the two meetings, both budget and LCAP. Public hearing for the first one, and then adoption for the second, and then close our books in September and start the cycle all over again. Everyone's. So we'll just closely monitor the governor's budget, what's gonna happen between now and May, make some adjustments in May, and then we'll have our proposed budget for June. Again, it's gonna be based on a lot of assumptions, because we don't know, because the governor doesn't have to adopt his budget until the end of June. So, and things can change. Just watching the one-time funding that we've received. I know we have gotten over, since COVID, like massive amounts of dollars. I don't want to say massive, but a lot of one-time funding, but all good things must come in, and they're expiring and going away. And then just watching our current year projections, our multi-year projections, our staffing, our enrollment trends, and if we do all that, I always believe that a district will stay in good shape as long as you keep on top of those things. Any comments or questions?
Somebody have any questions?
So I was going to bring this up later in the agenda, but I think this is probably better conversation for all of us to have here, because it's relevant. And by the way, I want to premise this with, you guys are bringing us the information, and I'm grateful for that. So my comments don't reflect you and your team's work. You do a great job. I'm starting to see, and we've seen over the years, the picture's getting bleaker and bleaker and bleaker. And so one of the things that I'm concerned about that we have on the agenda, and I recognize is just a notice for our learning loss teachers, right? And I am greatly concerned about that, and I want to bring this up for the board because I think we need to have fuller conversation about, when we start cutting or we start proposing to, hit the classroom with things that perhaps support our kids and do, and we know they do, and we know it adds value, and support is pretty much task staff to increase our academic achievement scores, and to do that, we're trying to task you with that work, we're banging you over the head with it all the time. And then money always is, of course, the factor. So, one of the things that I'm just concerned about as I read through some of the proposals with the learning loss teachers particularly, We have roughly 34 full-time staff that help us mitigate, losses that we've had in learning and help us improve the outcomes for our kids. And then 6 of those are our learning teachers, our specific learning resource teachers in the classroom. That's like a 20% hit to our supports for our kids who need to be lifted up and we need to raise our academic outcomes for. And for me, that's greatly concerning because, I'm one, I don't want to be a hypocrite, I'm one who said we need to do this, we need to do these things for our kids and help increase the outcomes. And so what I'm trying to say is, before June, when we adopt this budget, there is time for us to figure out perhaps how to keep these teachers. I know we did it last year. Maybe there's a way to continue to do that. I'd really like for us to explore that. The other kind of point I want to make is, I think that we as a board, and I'm tasking us with this because this is a policy decision that we need to make, kind of give you direction, and I think we need to have a conversation about what our budget sets our values and it describes what we care about. And so I think for me, I just want us to perhaps discuss, if we want to get to achievement outcomes, how do we do that in a time where I recognize cuts are on their way. I recognize the money, the states may not fund us more, but whether enrollment's going down or the economy gets worse, whatever it could be, I just want, and our reserves are in a pinch too, right? We need to do more there, but I think we need to do a fuller conversation. And so one of the things that, the reason I'm saying all this is because I do have a question, I promise. But I do want to just throw this out here in the budget conversation, because for me, what I'm seeing here is, we're just deficit spending. We have values that we want to push forward, and what I'm asking you is, can we perhaps put together, perhaps with the board, put together a plan that, aligns our values so you guys know as you're looking and analyzing departments what the board would like to see, preserved, and perhaps help you, guide you with some direction from us. Because what you do is you guys are, at least I understand it, you're putting it together, you're bringing it to us, and we're going, okay, yeah, maybe, but I want to just be helpful in achieving those goals. So what to you would that look like, if anything? And I know this is a big question, but I do want to pose it because I'm just getting more and more concerned about, for a long time on this board, we have a great budget, but we're just seeing like everybody else is. We're suffering all the other challenges, and we're losing all this COVID money, and we're doing all this. I want us to be proactive. So is there anything that we could help you with setting a plan to give a statement of our values on what we'd like to see, so that you can then say, okay, we're gonna work the numbers and here's how we do it. That's kind of what I'm asking.
I think that would, that would help to hear what the board's priorities are. I think we do hear them, but to lay it down on a piece of paper, I believe it would probably be beneficial. I think when we met with Laura the other day, and I shared some stuff, and you'll get the same. Rachel's gonna send it out to all the other members of the board. But I think, if you would like a board budget study session, so we can sit down and really deep dive a little bit more, because it's hard during a board meeting to sit and and not deep dive and go into some of the underlying, or even what, as a cabinet, what we've already been talking about, and some plans and stuff that we've been discussing too, because this is very much on all of our talking and in our meetings and stuff that, strategize and how to move forward without losing a lot of what we have. And sometimes it's, taking a look at maybe not doing, because this is going away here, but taking some of that and any of the new one-time dollars that may be coming in and taking a different look and be, adaptive and be kind of pivoting and making some other tweaks and stuff to programs that will move us forward, so that we don't always have to be so heavily reliant on, you know, these one-time dollars or you know, those things. It's great to use, but not to be reliant for certain of our core values.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because the reason I'm saying that is, you know, last year when we had this issue with our learning loss, you know, our learning loss teacher, I know Mr. Bennett over here doesn't want me to use that term, but I'm going to use it, but because it's just easier this one time. But you know, when we look at that, to me, you know, we knew that it might happen again this year, and it's happening. And in that time, I think that we can be proactive and say, if we had made a statement saying, this is what we want as a priority for us to keep these folks, you do your job great, you would have made it happen for us, right? And so I think for me, that's what I want us to kind of consider, is say, hey, when we're telling you academic achievement's important to us, what does that exactly look like? And then what are the wishes of the district's departments? What are the needs, you know, what's the wish list there, so we can balance all the department's needs and say, you know, they have their wish list, and you know, transportation has their wish list, and you know, there's all these other departments that have their wish list, and we have to balance it all and look at it and go, okay, what are our values? And there may be things that we don't even know that's on the wish list, right? And I think that a budget study session would be important, and I am going to bring up later in the meeting in the budget policy how we might be able to address something like that. But all that's to say is that I did want to say that in advance of the March 15th notices, that we can always fix later if the board gets together and tries to figure out how to do this. Because I think for me, that's a huge priority, because I don't want to lose those teachers that I believe the data shows are actually working. And one of the problems we have in public education all the time is we start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. So if we can keep them there doing good work, helping lift our kids, I want to do it. So that's just kind of me. I'm off my soapbox, I promise. But I just think that I wanted to ask you if that would be helpful to you, because it's something I just observed, you know, even going back to the time when Ron and I were on the board together, where we would have these conversations about the board, you know, wanting to do more, but it's how do we do that, and with our limited resources. So that, anyway,
I
that's
want to
all.
bring up one point, Andrea, I'm sorry. A lot of our funding is tied to our LCAP, and our LCAP goals and
Yep.
measures have to be, that funding has to go through that vehicle so
Yep.
that we can actually get that money. And a board study session is a really good idea, because it's not like your household finances, I know you know that, but just for the general public, you have this bucket of money here, you have a bucket of money here, you have a bucket of money here. This bucket's full, this one's empty, there's one here. I can't take money out of this bucket and put it in this bucket,
Right.
because this has restrictions, that has restrictions. So overall, and it can only be used for very specific things. And that's the frustrating part, because you might have plentiful money in another bucket, but you can't use it for this intent and purpose, because that's not why it was given to you. When we funded our learning loss, and we all love them, please understand that they are doing an amazing service, and none of us want to have them go. But we were able to stretch it out for one more year, because we were so financially responsible with the money that we had at the time, that we were able to stretch it out. It's just gone. So we would have to take it from another bucket, which is gonna hurt something else. So it's all interdependent. But explaining that and going through and looking at what we have and looking at our priorities and goals is a good idea. We should probably sit down and look at it.
No, I appreciate it. And by the way, I think everybody knows I recognize that. And by the way, I think everybody else knows I'm not saying we're fiscally mismanaging it, because that would then our money. I mean, I think we do a great job with our budget, and I've said that. So, but I think for me, when I look at stuff, I myself, as a board member, have conflicting goals, right? I always want us to be in the black, right? But I want a nice hefty reserve, because I know what a comfort that is to us when we had one. Now we don't have one anymore. And so, you know, I recognize all those things, but I also recognize that we are here to educate our kids, and we are tasking you with, you know, finding a way to make that growth happen. And that will not happen without us holding outcomes and some feet to the fire, if you will, to make it happen and give support and not just lip service saying we want it to happen. So I recognize some of these conflicting goals, but for me, it's a matter of let's figure it out, because I'm just seeing it more bleak. And our reserve just keeps going down and down and down. We're deficit spending, and we know that. But we kind of have to. We have these goals that we've got to do. So I recognize all of it. I just want us to be thoughtful and move forward. Not that we're not thoughtful before, let's be clear, but that, we just hone our focus a little bit.
And I wanna say that when I first came on board, one of the things, and I appreciate the support of the board, that, there wasn't the best, we had large reserves, but we also weren't taking care of staff. And that was one of the goals of the board was, we need to do something about that. So some of that money, we've spent down the reserve because that was a focus. That was something that the board wanted to, fix our salary schedules and not having so far off from our neighboring districts and stuff. So I feel like we've done a really good job about that. We've done some really good, facility things around here and stuff, and it's all a balancing act. And I think that will probably help in maybe the study session, hearing what the board's focus is, what we're working on. So, we have the whole behavioral, mental health, we have that, we have increasing costs with, the special needs population, hitting, there's a sweet spot with the reserve. I don't get too crazy about, again, like I just said, it ebbs and flows based on how much you're spending. So, and really your reserve is your cash. So, I don't like to deficit spend, but I also have, a love-hate relationship with it that sometimes you do, and you can't get crazy about deficit spending out of the general fund.
Yep.
And, but definitely, I think those are good conversations to have moving forward.
And, I'm referencing, certainly the unrestricted account. The restricted account, I recognize that money's spent already before we even spend it. It's kind of going where it's supposed to go. And yes, our LCAP puts together all of our goals and such, but I think that for me, we all review the LCAP, we all see it, we can utilize that to say, okay, of this, what are we gonna fund and how much are we gonna do more of this, and all of those things. And then of course, I've always brought up, I think we need to find other revenue opportunities, and I'm gonna continue to brainstorm those and figure out ways to find us revenue without raising taxes and figure out a way to do that. And it's money the state can't take away from us. So anyway, all that's to say, I'm appreciative of all your work, but I wanted to ask if that would be helpful to you, because I think it might be helpful.
Yeah, I think for the whole team.
Any other questions?
I just had a quick question. So to follow up on what you were saying, Rhonda, when we're writing the LCAP, if we had a board study session and we came together and had ideas of where we wanted to focus, when we're writing the LCAP, can we focus on raising the buckets for the certain things that we want to fund, or is that capped by the state?
The LCAP's not capped by the state.
Okay.
And it is the LCAP document is just like with the budget, it's a living, breathing document. You usually don't make much changes like you do with the budget throughout the year. Usually when you rewrite it, you may have to make some tweaks or adjustments based on what's been going on. And shifts and changes in programs and stuff. The only requirement in the LCAP is that you have to spend out of the LCFF calculation, there's a supplemental calculation in there for your unduplicated pupil populations. That percentage, and then it gives you a dollar amount, you have to spend that to support your UPP population. So I wanna say far exceed the the supports that we do within our district, that percentage. So it's not really a cap, so to speak, but it's, you can look at the LCAP, you can, have discussions and make adjustments and stuff, but it's usually a 3-year, you're really not gonna tweak it a whole lot within that 3-year time period. Once the first one's written for that.
So if we met as a board and we wanted to raise certain areas in the LCAP, we're talking about 3 years out, potentially. Like you couldn't, if the LCAP is already like a 3-year document, then we're talking, okay, so
But
our
we have to renew
priorities
it every
now, we
year.
have to be.
You have to adjust it every year within that 3-year. You create your one at the beginning of that 3-year time period, and then the second year you can make adjustments to it, and then the 3rd year you make adjustments, and then you start that process all over again. Either with new goals, or, that's the point in time to change anything like that. You really don't want to shift too much off of, when I say that you can tweak and make changes, it really has to do with, say, Natalie writes in the LCAP that we're going to do certain services and it's gonna be funded from X, and then X funding goes away. So that allows for Natalie to go in and change, and you have to write why it's coming out, or why it's been reduced, or increased, or whatever, but, your goals usually stay the same through that 3-year time period. And I think we're in our.
We're in year 2.
Two.
So, or we're in year 1, we're writing our year 2.
Year 2 for next
Okay.
year.
And so our goals are staying the same, but we are working on shifting some actions based on changes in the budget that are out of our control. So while we've expended the funding out of the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, we are bringing in some other things that we're trying to use to backfill. We can't replace the teachers, it's not going to be more teachers, obviously, but we're doing a lot of other things that we're hoping will help to build systems of support or maintain systems of support that we've already built.
And I think that would help, because we know this,
Yeah.
we have these conversations all the time, but the board's very limited on what they're hearing.
Well, that's kind of my point, is I think that for me, we always see these, and yes, I recognize this interrupt is a snapshot in time, it will change in June, we know that, because the state budget will be finalized, and that's why I say, while I have heartburn about March 15th notices, it's part of the process, but if it could, I would like to task us with trying to fix it, because I think, if the board agrees, I think that's an important thing, because I think we're trying to get achievement improved, and we're trying to grow, and these teachers do help with that, and I know they do, and we've seen it in our data. I mean, we do see that. So, and if we don't, then we might need to find another path. But I believe that these in-classroom supports are the closest we can get to the kids and helping them. So I want to make sure that we look at that too. So.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Lisa. With that, adoption is requested of the second interim financial report with actuals as of January 31st, 2025 of the district statement of policy certification indicating the district's ability to meet its financial obligations for the 2024-2025 fiscal and 2 subsequent fiscal years. Is there a motion?
So,
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed? Next is adoption is requested of resolution number 2025-13 to close Treasury Oracle account number 57665/PS 6200/14262 for National University Academy of Health Services and transfer funds of $403,705.54 to the Lakeside Union School District. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there a second? you. Adoption is also requested in resolution 2025-11 and release of temporary certificated non-management employees. Is there a motion on this?
So
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Ron. Any discussion on this one? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you. Adoption is also requested resolution 2025-14, reducing or discontinuing particular kinds of services for the 2025-2026 school year. Is there a motion on this one?
so
Thank you, Autumn. And a second? Thank you, Jim. Any discussion on this item?
I just had the discussion.
I hear what you said before.
Yeah.
I acknowledge what you
Yeah.
said before.
Thank you. And oh, by the way, I do still have heartburn on this, so
I think we all do.
I know, but I'm just saying.
All right, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? We will now hear from Christine Rosado, our Director of Maintenance, Transportation, and Operations, to give us an update on departments. And thank you for your patience through all of this so far.
I have not presented in quite some time, so hopefully I do you justice.
You'll do just fine.
There it is. Okay, as she said, I'm Christine Rosado, I'm the new Director of Maintenance and Operations and Transportation. Not so new anymore, almost half a year so far. So I just want to give you guys a quick update. I won't take too much of your time, and then let you guys ask any questions you need. The first slide is kind of what my motto is, and mission statement for our departments. You know, keeping schools and facilities clean, students and staff and communities safe. A lot of professional development to bring more timely repairs and cost-effective solutions, which I'll go into in a minute. And you know, the scope of keeping up for emergency repairs and long-term projects. This is a list of the completed projects that since I started here, I jumped in halfway of all of these projects. Lakeside Farms and Lakeview ESS buildings, technology, central kitchen, interior dosal fencing project. And then to the right is all of the upcoming projects. I got a little ambitious, I think, but it's a lot of good stuff going on. And I'll go into some of the clean bus stuff a little bit later. We have the last ESS building going in at Terra del Sol. Winter Gardens Kitchen's getting a makeover. And ESS at the firehouse down by our building is getting new roll-up doors. If you've ever been by there, they are ancient. And Lemon Crest Cafeteria, Tierra del Sol's gym floor is going to be resurfaced and maintained, not replaced. And then the turf is going to be installed at Winter Gardens Elementary for ESS, going to provide a nice play area. And summer deferred maintenance is a plan in progress, and we're starting to already plan for all of those things. This is Lakeside Farms' new ESS and shelter. And this is Lakeview's. They came out beautifully, and we're modeling TDSs after these. So they'll be very similar to TDS. Our maintenance update, some of the things that I've implemented a bit, safety topic training and really diving into some of the safety for our maintenance teams, transportation, and operations and custodial. The fit inspections I did perform because I had done them many times, and I'll go into that a little bit. And then later in the slide, deferred maintenance, we're working on that for summer projects, working on the completion of work orders, also creating a long-term range facility plan. I have 2 RFPs out right now. One is for architectural services, so we can have that for several years. And the other one is for a long-range facilities plan. I'm working with Lisa, and those RFPs are due, the long-term facility plans due back in April. So we'll be able to have that plan in place hopefully very soon. And then there's some numbers of our department and how much, you know, square footage we cover and how many work orders we've completed since I started here through February. This is the fit inspection comparison, and I just wanted to give you a quick idea. The amount from 23-24 to 24-25, and the reason that we jumped so nicely, all of those Ds removed in that 4th column, that is all because we put up a fire evacuation map in every classroom. So, very simple to do, and those are the things I'm looking for to improve. There's many repairs that need to be done today made that very evident. But we're definitely working as hard as we can on it, and I'm just showing you that I'm looking at those factors, trying to make the schools better and safer places, and then there's very simple fixes in place where you can just, I think it was Lemon Crest, 34 deficits removed because every classroom now has a fire escape mount. That was very simple. Just want to give you guys an idea of that. This is our maintenance and operations team, and a couple of the little things I've been doing with them is a lot more involved safety training. We do tailgate topics where, ladder safety, PPE. Sometimes if something comes up, and like we had a little nick on the chainsaw the other day, but it was a good example because he was wearing gloves, had glasses on, he did everything right, and he still got hurt. So those discussions just becoming more in depth. I'm doing a lot of professional development with the guys. They're gonna be, for instance, I had one of my workers go down to the roofing company that put on all our roofs, and the warranties are running out. We got him training so that he could learn how to do the patch repairs. It was free. So now we have a patch repair kit, and we can do those things in-house, and that's not money coming out of our pockets. Another professional development is I have our new plumber, who's fabulous. He's going to backflow prevention and testing certification the week of March 24th. That did cost $1,000, but at every single school site for us to test a backflow, which is required annually, that costs about $800 per site. So the $1,000 spent would be well received. For the repairs and safety, I upgraded our injury, illness, and prevention plan. It hadn't been touched since about 2013. Those are really important because those are required for in case people get hurt on the job. It helps to protect us as a district. And I'm also working on the safety red books for each school site. They're going to be completed for each school site, and there'll be an administrative one here at the district. I'm also going to have drills going on, like the district office. We're going to make them do a fire drill. Transportation is going to do a fire drill. It's going to be great that everybody knows what's going on and hopefully feel a little safer. And then reading out old work orders. We've been putting out the work order lists, going through the old ones, like how come this isn't done? Do we need an outside contractor? And we've been able to close out about 25 so far. That's just this week that we started doing that. And then here's my custodial guys. This is at one of our safety trainings. A couple of things I've done for them is created a map system for summer, so we're a little more efficient with our cleaning and we can get a little bit more done. Fire extinguisher location maps. I know that sounds exciting, but it is important that we don't miss one, and it's important that those are up to code and good, and we get those done every summer. And the material safety data sheets. Those are all of the list of chemicals and what's in them and what to do if you get hurt or you get it in your eyes. Those have not been touched since 2005. So every single one of them is updated now with every chemical that every person uses, and they have them ready, and then they're on every site with all the custodians and in maintenance and transportation. The safety training meetings, they didn't really, John, my supervisor, does the safety training meetings, and then I pop in and out and say hi each time they come up. He does a great job with it, and they're doing very similar work to what we're doing in maintenance and transportation also. And then there's our transportation in front of one of our beautiful new electric buses, which I'll go over in just a second. The Clean Buses charter fix. We had to implement something so we could charge these buses because the transformer is delayed, and that's not something that we can control in any way. We're expecting it in August of 2025. So the fix that I put in place was either we rented a generator, which would cost over $120,000 for the time frame that we would need it. We got some level 2 chargers. They do take a little bit longer to charge, but we are able to charge the buses currently. It's not a perfect fix, but we're hoping for that August. Also, they're doing training meetings now, tailgate topics also. And then also Jenny's been working with training on the electric buses. So that's all in progress so that we're ready to implement all that. This is currently what we have. We have the 15 big buses. We will be decommissioning 8 of the gas buses and 6 short buses. Those will all go away. They get towed off. We're awaiting 8 of the electric shorter length buses. Those are in production in February, so we're expecting them not too long from now. They don't take very long to make. And then the bottom numbers, go ahead and let you know what our fleet will be composed of once all electric are here. And then we'll have the 3 white fleet vans also. That's how many riders we have and how many annual mileages approximate that we do for the students. And then that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Do the old buses get auctioned off or?
No, they get decommissioned, which is, we have a company that is willing to take them for free from us, and then we get a certificate of destruction,
Right.
and then they actually have to ramrod the engine,
Right.
and that's decommissioning it and destroying it, basically. It's part of the program and we're required.
So how many electric buses are you using now? That,
Currently, we're not using them right now, we're
I
training,
thought I
we're
saw
training on them.
one or two of them
Have you had any of them?
down?
Yeah. Yeah,
We did fifth grade visits with them.
there we go. She had to take them out to see how many kids could fit in the buses, because they're a little bit, there's less space involved.
They have seatbelts.
Yes.
So try to get three
Yeah, pile them
eighth
up.
graders in one seat with all seatbelts is a little struggle.
Yeah.
So, but we did use some for the fifth grade visits, and we got 68 eighth graders on a 72 passenger. It was a good day. And they will be going on Festival of the Arts. I have 3 of the buses going out.
But I would love for you guys to make a visit whenever, and we'll work with Lisa and them, and you guys can come down and see the buses. Jenny can pull one out, you guys can go on it, they're really quite, pretty cool.
Athletic field trips. I know my question was gonna be on electric buses. I have a little note, so you answered all my questions.
Thank
So
you.
I'm just excited that once we get these
Yeah.
operational, I'm a little sad that it's taking longer with SDG&E getting
I know.
that infrastructure in, but I also know how SDG&E works.
Yes.
and I'm not surprised either, just sad, so,
All right.
but it'll be nice once we get those up and running.
Well, I'll have Rachel reach out
Yeah.
when everybody's ready to come down for a visit, and we'll make a little field trip out of it.
Make sure we take a liability insurance policy. Last time the board got in a van together, that was a problem.
We were really good at setting up field arms.
Yeah.
Even with training.
We're not gonna name who that was.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you for your work, appreciate it very much.
All right, trustee reports. Trustee Bennett.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing. All right, trustee Hayes.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody and the members of the public who attended our community listening sessions for the superintendent search that we're going through. We had 3 of those since the last board meeting. I want to thank everybody for all their comments and things that they've made to the district and shared with me and Albertsons and wherever else. I mean, I appreciate everybody's thoughts on this, and that's the goal, is to be transparent in this process. So I'm very grateful for everybody who's commented, and you still have time to tell us your thoughts. I also was at Lindo Park for Love of Reading Week. I read to Carrie Strong's class, and I read Pug the Liar, I think it was, or anyway, Pug the Pig, but a great book, and I bet it was like Pug the Fibber or something, I don't know. Anyway, great book. And I want to congratulate Dr. Winspear on your award that IC is coming up, so congratulations. And that's all from me this evening.
Thank you. Trustee Casper.
I also attended all 3 of the public input sessions for the new superintendent selection, and learned a lot about the comments and a lot of common themes too that I heard and I jotted down. Also, I attended 2 of the Race to Wellness, which is going to be next week, right? And at Lenny Crest. And it's a lot of planning by a lot of people that I've had the pleasure to meet. So it's going to be a big deal, and we'll be down there and doing that. Also, an area that I've always been interested in is security and background in that also. And I attended my first security meeting and had requested to be involved in it. And met a lot of community folks. And I knew so many of them, like the sheriff and the fire department, of course. It was really cool to listen to that one and what's coming up later. Then I was also at Linda Park reading to 3rd graders a story about a dog that nobody wanted except this little boy. It was a really cool story. And I have to admit, I love biz kids, and I've done it for the last couple of years, and I'm going to be very honest. I schedule it in my calendar at Lakeview at the wrong time, and I'm not that proud that I won't admit it. So I showed up at 11. It was the first thing in the morning. I was so embarrassed, but I did, we worked it out. I gave my apology to Tiger, the principal, and also sent a note to the teacher that's organizing it. Hey, that was someplace else I was supposed to be. That didn't really have to be at 11, so that was okay. So that was it. I look forward to more things. And we're just human. Thank you.
Trustee Casper, do not fret. I was not able to make it either. I was gonna go, and then my boss called me, and I couldn't go anymore. So things happen.
You didn't tell me that? Wow.
I should have guilted him and said, you're keeping me from hanging out with children.
But Monday, I forgot. Monday they're gonna have their, what do you call them?
They go to biz.
Business. And I will be there.
Vice President Allenson.
Yeah, I also want to thank the community and our staff members for all of the thoughtful comments regarding the superintendent search. It's been a really well-rounded sort of search so far, or listening sessions, and all of our stakeholders have really had the opportunity to share anonymously what they want to see. So thank you to everybody who has participated in that. That helps us know what the community's looking for. The other thing I wanted to report out on is the calendar committee. They met yesterday. I had a work thing come up, and so I was not able to go, but the fabulous Rachel has filled me in on everything. The team reached consensus on the 26-27 calendar, and so they're gonna meet again in April to ensure that it's all correct before bringing it to the board, but sounds like it's on its way.
That's it. Thank you. Well, I want to echo everyone and just thank everybody for participating in our survey and our community input days. We had 607 responses to our survey, which for our district, that's really good.
That's fantastic.
It was amazing, and it was a really good cross-section of staff and parents and community members. So we were able to look at them individually through that, but I mean, what a turnout. That's just great. So I thank our community so much for being involved in the search to try and replace Dr. Taylor, which is going to be very hard. So I attended FFA week at LMS, where we got to celebrate all the great things we do, and culminated with Mr. Mitzel kissing the cow. So that was fun.
That's funny.
I attended the Riverview Talent Show, as well as Touch a Truck was great.
I listened to you, I forgot to say that, yeah.
Yeah, Touch a Truck was really good. We did some reading for Love of Reading Week. I did attend the BizTown interviews. Those kids at Lakeview, they have got it together. Like, some of the best interviews I've had in BizTown interviews. I mean, those kids were really well prepared. And I made sure their teachers knew what a good job they had done. I also, the next day, got to visit with the kindergartners while they learned about burn composting, which was a lot of fun watching them dig around and learn how to compost, which we have our composter here at the district too, and so hopefully have some of those at the schools as well. I think Lakeview is going to start their own composting on site also. So that's it for me.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
I also was at Touch a Truck, but I was helping and covering the booth for the Riverview Mandarin program, Spanish also, but it's really focusing on the Mandarin program for next year, getting kids signed up. I think there's some orientations coming up soon with that choir. Very nice person, and we met some people, and we met a man whose child is in TK German immersion in Poway, maybe north of, and he was so interested because he wanted, his wife spoke Mandarin, and he wanted his son to be in that language instead of German. So hopefully he'll sign up. So it was really nice seeing people.
opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any item. Do we have any comments? All right, thank you. Now, down to our consent agenda. It's time to designate items to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to designate items?
So moved.
Andrew, it's very quiet tonight. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, are there any items that we need to pull?
6.1.
6.1, anything else? I'm gonna pull 3.1 and 4.5. Last call for any other items? Nope, all right. I'm looking for a motion to adopt items of the consent agenda except for 3.1, 4.5, and 6.1. Is there a motion? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, 3.1 is our approval of the personal assignment order. There is an adjustment to this that we need to remove Amanda Bender and then adopt everything else as it's stated. So I make a motion that we approve 3.1 with the change of removing Amanda Bender. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any discussion on this?
Inquire on why?
It was entered in incorrectly on the form. So it will be corrected and brought back later. Okay? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 4.5 is our donations to the district. We had some very nice donations this month. El Stadium Association gave 2 separate. Between the two, I believe it was like $3,500 between the 2 programs, as well as a couple parents. So I just wanted to thank everyone who makes donations to the district because it really does help our programs keep moving. So, is there a motion for acceptance of 4.5?
So
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? None. Thank you. 6.1, Andrew.
Yes, thank you. So on this, this kind of ties into the discussion earlier regarding the budget. What I would like to consider, the board to consider this evening is we table the adoption of this until our board study session on the budget so that we can edit the policy in budget criteria and standards section where it says the board may establish other budget assumptions or parameters which may take into consideration the stability of funding sources, legal requirements, and constraints on the use of funds, anticipated increases or decreases in the cost of services and supplies, program requirements, and any other factors necessary to ensure the budget is a realistic plan for district revenues and expenditures. So what I'd like for us to have in that discussion is what those assumptions are, you know, what that we might like some of our priorities so that we're putting that forward, so not just our staff know, but the public know. And we're being proactive for future boards when all of us may not be here someday, that, you know, there are priorities that should be considered when you're shaping a budget. And for example, do we want a reserve percentage? Do we want, when we're gonna trigger cuts, what should we be considering first? You know, all of those kinds of things. And I think it'll help as staff create the budget for us. I think it'll let them know that this is our document. So that's my proposal.
Okay. I agree that I think it's important, based on the comments you made today, that we have a mechanism in place in our policy that, like you said, when we're making cuts, that we've had a workshop to discuss those before it gets to our resolutions and our March 15th and everything. So I think tweaking it a little bit so we make sure that that is in there would be helpful. I don't think it's gonna change really much of it, just that actual piece. So I would agree with tabling it as well. So is that your motion?
I make a motion to table this.
All right, I agree with that. I will second that. Do we need to have a vote on that?
We should.
Okay.
We should. And if there's any discussion on the board.
Is there any discussion on tabling 6.1 for a future date? No? All right, all in favor of tabling 6.1?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, with that, we will move on to our discussion items. We have enrollment report for month 6. Are there any questions that anybody have on that? No?
Negatory.
All right, legislative updates.
Yeah,
Do you have any?
the only update I have is I wanted to just follow up on the brief conversation we had last month about the new process I proposed regarding, a board letter process that would help. If, like, for example, if there's, which I will be wanting to do at some point, bring forward or a proposal that the district take positions, as we have in the past, on bills that are education related in Sacramento. And I think that it would be having a process where I send in a letter that gives the background as why we're doing it, and then you see what it is, and it's included in the document here, so people can see, okay, we're gonna take a position on AB 55, AB 68, whatever the heck they are, and then they're described, and it's easy peasy done. And then if staff have recommendations that they'd like to add, like for example, if CSBA sends us proposals, to make, vote on, or if there's some CBO stuff related, budget related items that we want to send a formal letter and we want to approve that here at the board level, they can be added into that, and staff can put that in that position as well. So that's just. I don't know. I don't know how we would do that, but I just want to create a process so it's easy and streamlined.
It's the how to do it that I would want more information on. I think the team needs more information
Well,
on. So
I'm kind of
could
asking you guys.
Okay, but can we add that to our study session and have a discussion as well around that, so that we know, for example, if you want us to tie board policy and administrative regulations to your legislative actions at the time, so that's kind of what I'm hearing you say?
Well, I'm kind of thinking of it in 2 different paths. There's board member initiated items. So for example, if I wanted to bring forward a resolution on Love of Reading Week, we already do that, but that's an example.
Right.
Let's say I wanted to bring forward a resolution that does that, I would give the district a cover page that explains the background, the why, and all of it, and then the resolution that would come from a board initiated item. But then perhaps the staff have an idea on, hey, we want to take a position on this bill because it would help us, get more money. And then we can, so you bring it to us and say, we would love for you to do this because we need to take a position on it. That's the value I see of this, of this position. That I see it in 2 different ways.
I'd like to add it to the agenda when we have our board study session, so we can clarify how we want to do that.
Anything else? Anybody else have any updates in that section? No? All right. We have second reading of board policy and administrative regulation 3280, sale or lease of district-owned real property. That is the one that Andrew told last time, which we did have meetings with Lisa Davis about. Were there any further edits we needed to make to that?
No, I just want to thank Lisa for taking the time to look at it for me and then give me her perspective on it. And so I'm good with it, and let's bring it back.
Okay, and let's bring that back for adoption at next month's meeting. All right, moving right along, Carrie Strong is not here tonight, but I do see David Byers. Yay! We are so happy to see you.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate you coming out to every one of our community input sessions.
Yes.
and
Well, thank you. I
participating.
appreciate you guys having me.
But I am very glad to see you at a board meeting, so welcome.
I don't
I hope
think
this
a lot-
doesn't mean something's wrong.
I know.
No.
Thanks for coming
So
talking
it
to
just so
us.
happens that we have our regional presidents meeting for CSEA, and it's the same time. Tonight's
Got it.
meeting went pretty quick, so I wanted to come by and stop in. So thanks for having me, trustees. Don't have too much to say. The one thing I would like to add is that when Andrew's talking about, I know we're looking at cuts in the future, and you're talking about a lot of certificated people. I really hope the board looks at the classified people, as your support staff. These are your people in transportation that are getting your kids to school. Your food service people that are feeding our students every day. Our aides in the classroom, I can't say enough for them. They have got to have the toughest job in the school district. I think we all know that. These kids, I mean, if you're looking at, say, a sped room, for instance, and you have a teacher with 4 aides, you have 4 classified people in that classroom helping those students every day. I sure hope you take to heart and really take into consideration our staff, our classified staff. They're a big support. You know, it takes all of us. I mean, it takes the village. And so I just want to say, I really hope you take that into consideration. All right? Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Davis, anything you would like to add from business and operations?
Talked enough tonight.
All right. Robin Mallory with Human Resources.
I would like to say a shout out to our nurses and the wellness committee and all the work that's being done. They've been very proactive all year. I don't think I've really talked about them enough or at all, in fact. Usually I sit here and kind of say I can't say anything. I don't know if I just have a really short video. They've been working really hard. They've been working really hard, Denise Fields and Michelle McCurdy are our 2 district nurses who work very closely with our LVNs on site and our health techs. And they had a wonderful opportunity earlier this month with the hands-only CPR. Denise Fields took the lead working with El Capitan. And I want to just show you another wonderful cook production video. But it's really powerful, so I want to shout out to them and just show you. We have another hands-only CPR coming up at Lakeside Middle, and it's a really neat opportunity for all of the PE students to learn this very, very important life-saving skill. It's very easy to learn, and they really are motivated, and let's take a quick look.
San Diego County has an initiative called Revive and Survive to train 1 million hands-only CPR responders. So we're training the 8th graders at both LMS and TDS.
You know, you never want to have to use it, but I'm very thankful I had the knowledge and I was able to use it in the right manner.
It doesn't matter the medical advancements we have in our hospitals. We have heart machines, lung machines, kidney machines, but without those first 5 minutes of bystander CPR, it doesn't matter what kind of medical advancements we have, those patients don't do well. So the bystander...
Buffering, oh no. Darn it.
Also, or keep in mind our IT people.
I didn't know that insider trick. I'm so sorry. I thought at 59 seconds it would work. Really, that took a lot. Well, anyhow, I apologize because clearly the tech is not working tonight for that. But one of the things that they were sharing with students is the ability to do hands-only CPR, where you don't need to do mouth-to-mouth, can save a significant number of lives.
You never want to have to use it, but I'm very thankful I had the knowledge and I was able to use it in the right manner.
It doesn't matter the medical advancements we have in our hospitals. We have heart machines, lung machines, kidney machines, but without those first 5 minutes of bystander CPR, it doesn't matter what kind of medical advancements we have, those patients don't do well. So the bystanders are becoming the most critical piece in our medical team. So there's classes all over the county where you can participate. I encourage you to find one.
You know, it can't hurt to have this knowledge and in your back pocket, and hopefully it can come in handy one day and save a life maybe.
And what's powerful powerful as Coach Kuro saved an LCAP student's life using hands-only CPR. Do you know why they use that song, Staying Alive?
It's the right beat.
It's the right rhythm. And so Denise said the biggest challenge was to stop the kids. The Bee Gees, everything old is new again, and they do know that, and they were singing along and to get the right rhythm. So anyway, all the work that they're doing, they do so much for our district with the maintenance and upkeep and notifications around our AED machines, the training of site and district staff on how to use the AEDs. We offered a couple weeks ago here, district staff could come in and learn the hands-only CPR if they were interested in learning that. So, and then of course, we had representation. Trustee Casper, I believe, mentioned the Race to Wellness. So they're intricate in the wonderful wellness committee and the folks who work on that so hard. So I just wanted you to shout out to them tonight. And then other than that, superintendent search is underway, and we're in, tough times with the action you took tonight. But we've got a lot of care and concern for those teachers that are affected, and we're working hard on solutions and opportunities for them ongoing. But thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd like to add something about the CPR training. I can't attest enough to how important it is. With the American Heart Association, you don't use mouth anymore. It's all chest compressions. I used CPR 3 times in my life. The first didn't make it. The second made it. The third, my mother made it. So it's incredible. And now with the fire department, we're certified on the AEDs, right? They're pretty simple, but it's a little bit more work for a kid to do that. But I can't, 2 out of 3, it works. And that's back when we used the mouth with it, right? And so I hope these kids and the staff come and learn the AED and the regular compressions. It's a lifesaver.
Robin, I just wanted to thank you for all your support of the board in our effort to replace the irreplaceable Dr. Rhonda. But you're doing a fantastic job, and thank you for supporting us. And Rachel, thank you too for your help in our efforts. I truly appreciate it. I know how much work is going on behind the scenes that we don't see, but thank you for supporting us in our effort.
All right, Dr. Winspear.
I do not have a video for you tonight, but I have a picture, because you have to have a visual. So this is the graduation. On Tuesday night, we graduated 23 people from our PK program, Partnerships in Quality Education. Dr. Fernandez is the leader of that effort. And so on Tuesday night, they've been in classes this winter, and it culminated in a graduation ceremony. We started the evening with a Q&A. Every year we end PK with a Q&A with me, where in the session before the last one, they come up with questions for the district. And then I come and have a dialogue with them and answer their questions. Usually it's around literacy development, intervention, after school tutoring kinds of things, because the whole program is really about literacy, early literacy. Followed by speeches, so they identify parents to give speeches at the end, and in this particular, they're always lovely speeches. Tuesday night, the real theme of the speeches was how grateful families are for the partnership with our school district, and how they feel so supported in learning how to better support their own students. They expressed gratitude for their schools, they expressed gratitude for the classroom, they expressed gratitude for everything we do as a district, which is just obviously lovely to hear. And then at the end we have cake. So, and we give out certificates and we have cake, so it's a lot of fun. So parents report feeling empowered and equipped to support their children's literacy development. Our LCAP goal this year was to have 20 families graduate, or 20 people graduate from the program. We had 23, so one more LCAP goal, yay! And then the other thing that I want to report to you is give you a little bit more information about TK. We have had in our TK program this year. We think it's a combination of obviously the age going down about 3 months so that more kiddos are being included, as well as I'm calling it the COVID-related birth bump because I was calling it COVID babies and that just did not sound right. So it is the COVID-related birth bump. We're expecting it this year and probably next year, and then after that, probably not. So we had planned ahead for that and had planned to open 2 additional classes. One at Lindo Park, and Mr. Tiger's been asking for an English TK for a long time at Lakeview, and we were able to accommodate that.
And John's Manor.
Well, originally we started with 2. And, oh, sorry, maybe, now I'm confused about what order this happened. We planned on opening 2 additional. But based on the interest, we've now decided to open 4 additional. So we are gonna have one at Lindo Park, another Spanish class at Winter Gardens. John at Winter Gardens is also opening an English TK with Mandarin enrichment. So we're trying to start the Mandarin pipeline a year earlier to increase our Mandarin program enrollment, and that class is already full. And then the English class at Lakeview. So you guys have just adopted our board policy on interdistrict transfers, and that was really important. We've kept the policy essentially the same as it was before, but we reaffirmed the fact that we have to first serve students who live in our district. Then we look at students who want to come into our district. First by if they already have a sibling in one of our schools and if they are a child of a staff member, and then other students who don't live in Lakeside who want to come in. So we had, because we had so much interest, we had a meeting with all of our principals and secretaries last week. We reviewed the criteria and the order in which we accept our students. We double, triple, quadruple checked our lists for repeat students, students who didn't fit in the age range. And so as of right now, we have closed the interest list and we've opened a wait list. So we have been able to address all the families that put themselves on the original interest list. We have not been able to accommodate everyone. We have been able to accommodate everyone who lives in Lakeside, either at their school of choice or their home school. We are able to accommodate all of our IET siblings and staff children. But we have around 20 or 30 families that wanted to come into our district on IETs that even with these 4 additional classes, we haven't been able to accommodate. So what we're doing is for the families that were on the original wait list, we have given them until April 1st to enroll their child in TK. We know from the past that not everybody who puts themselves on the interest list follows through with enrollment because they might be putting themselves on multiple interest lists. If they live in El Cajon, they might be putting themselves on ours, on El Cajon's, on La Mesa's. So we've reached out to every family. We've asked them to enroll by April 1st. For anyone who doesn't enroll by April 1st, we will then start pulling up students that we have on our wait list. And once we get through the original wait list, then we'll start with because there's still families every day adding themselves to the new wait list. So then in April, as a cabinet, we will be able to meet again to see where we are with enrollment and talk about whether or not we think we have enough interest to look at opening another TK classroom somewhere. So we're just trying to be smart about it and serve as many students as we can without over committing ourselves in terms of staffing and classrooms. Because even growing by 4 is going to be a pretty big lift.
That's great news.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Taylor.
Well, I don't have too much tonight. I don't have a video because all my videos are gone, but it's okay. I was also congratulating Dr. Hardiman on her award on Monday and publicly acknowledging Natalie and looking forward to celebrating her. And speaking of Natalie, I wanted to let you guys know that we spent money sending our principals to Texas to Deloitte to the Leadership Series, and Natalie has brought that work back and working with a team in other districts to continue that learning going here in Lakeside. So we just had our, I think it was session 7 the other day, And it's the principals, we all come together, and our classified managers, and we go through that work and of the leadership skills that we learned from Deloitte. And so we're continuing that work. What I think is really important about that is that it wasn't a hit and run professional development where she's working really hard with the Deloitte team to continue to bring that work to us and make sure that it's solidified. And just looking at the feedback from the principals about that time. The very next day I was talking to Dr. Hardiman and she was saying it was so important yesterday to have those conversations that we had together because I'm wrestling with this problem. And I have to realize this about the problem and that about the problem, and that's what we were talking about, so it was fresh in my mind. So I just think that it's really important. Thank you for doing that. So I just wanted to share that. And then talking about attendance plans and our increase in our attendance plans. Attendance plan is something that we really focused on this year, that every school had to have an improvement plan. And then it's also a part of our principal evaluation this year. So it's one of their goals when we talk about how you did your attendance plan, how did it go, and all of that. So a real strong accountability piece there. And that's all I have for you guys tonight, because I know you still have to go have some more fun.
Thank you. All right, is there anything else we need to discuss? All right, with that, we are going to take a quick 5-minute recess and then go into closed session.